Hello and welcome to the W Show Preliminary Finals edition. We are absolutely pumped for this weekend. I'm Laura Spurway, and joining me here on the couch, as she does most weeks here on the W Show, is Sarah Block. Hello, Sarah.
Hello. I'm looking forward to all the action this weekend. We've got 4 different storylines. We've got the Blues who are causing havoc wherever they go, the old stalwarts, Brisbane and North Melbourne, and Melbourne back in the finals race, with a few fresh faces. So can't wait to see how it all plays out. Yeah,
I can't wait either. And also here on the couch with us is former Geelong skipper, sorry to use the word former Meg, I'm still getting used to it, Meg McDonald. Great to have you.
Great to be here, Laura. It's the truth. You can say it. Go for it. And you, Sarah, hello. I'm happy to have rolled in on prelim final week. Worked that out pretty well.
Rolling out the big guns.
Yeah, well, if you say so. Oh, they're your words.
Look, Meg, congratulations on your career. It's a big decision to hang up the boots, and I know it's still fresh for you, but you got your eye on what's next?
Yeah, it's a big decision, but I was really excited by what what the future might hold. It was a very special night, and I felt throughout the course of the last month that the celebration's been a little over the top from my perspective, but that's not something to complain about. Everyone's been very generous in what they've said about my career, and hopefully that leads to bigger and better things going forward. I've loved my time as captain because it's exposed me to a lot of different parts of a football club and the industry, so I'm keen to continue to explore different elements of the industry, and I do enjoy my time in the media. We work together as well, and so hopefully I can keep that going as well.
Speaking of love, there was plenty of love from your teammates in that vision, but there was also a lot of love on your best and fairest night, which was held recently. There was a very puzzling graphic that appeared on Geelong's Twitter feed. There was later a photo and some vision. Mm-hmm. What exactly is happening here?
You're talking about my most valuable queen.
Most valuable queen.
Most valuable queen.
Yeah.
Well,
it was a bit sort of like yassified AFLW.
My gals in the back line do our weekly podcast, the girls, and they award an MVQ of each week, and I came home very strong in the last 2 rounds for, I think, the sentimental win. So I thought I'd take the knee, and they crowned me at the end of the night, which was, narrowly second place to the ultimate BNF winner. In terms of prestige of an award.
Yeah, Georgie Press-Parkes would have been very jealous.
She was telling me all night how envious she was.
Now, look, when we talk about retiring from AFL, AFLW, coaching inevitably always comes up as a question. Now, I know that you've had a bit to do with the Pathways program here. There's coaching vacancies that come up. There are a few here that we've talked about on this show. Is that of any interest to you, and who do you think would be a good candidate to fill some of those roles?
I know we went through a lot of them last week. I love the in-the-moment coaching of your teammates in so far as you do as a senior player in the group. But I think the ones that are ultimately going to lead us are the ones that Riley mentioned last week. I'd add a couple more names to the list. Some former teammates of mine. I'm a bit biased, so I think Melissa Hickey will get into it pretty well. She's had the Falcons job for a while, and Jess Dalpos is doing great things in the Carlton coaching staff. So I'd like to add those 2 to the list. But ultimately, I probably think the next big one is Emma Carney. I feel like as a senior coach, you need a certain level of personality, and she's such a performer out on the field and is so competitive. I think it's what draws all us to her as a player, but at the same time she's a beautiful person off the field. So I think that combination's a really interesting one, and she obviously knows how to win and play good footy.
She'd get people running through a brick wall for her, I'm sure, would Carnes. The other side of the coin from coaching is administrating. Yes. So we've got 18 new teams in the AFLW landscape, obviously been around for 10 years now, some of them. But with that comes 18 new heads of footy. We've got to find these administrators from somewhere. You took part in a prospective general manager's course earlier this year. Are there any of your peers who you think may be in the frame for those sort of roles in the future?
Yes, I did. We're still in the midst of it, actually, the GM course, which has been a fantastic opportunity, and I've been really thankful to be supported through Workplay. Alicia Eva's doing that course as well. I know she's in the conversation for coaching, so she's keeping her options open, and I'm sure would be fantastic in either role. I think Kez Peterson is another one. I know she's had, I hope it's okay that I speak on her behalf, sort of long-term aspirations in that direction. I think she'd probably like to return to play initially. Haven't checked in with her on that one either, but I'm just going with it. So I think those 2 are really exciting prospects, but as the AFL continues to offer opportunities for personal development along those lines, I think more and more candidates will come through.
Boss lady Meg, I like the sound of that. Now let's take a look at the fixture for this weekend, because we have 2 massive games that we are very much looking forward to. It kicks off on Saturday afternoon with North Melbourne and Melbourne at Icon Park, and then Brighton Homes Arena for the night game, Brisbane Lions against Carlton. And that's where we're going to start this week, because the Blues, well, they're behaving like a team with absolutely nothing to lose. And you can see that with the fun that they're bringing into their club, most notably their dance routines, which have become infamous across the season.
Well, Darcy actually started going to dance classes, and then me and Meg Robertson decided we would go to dance classes too. And then we just started dancing around the club, put the music on in the gym, and we'd dance for our team. Each week, like, we bring bits and pieces back, and then we teach it on our primer, our captain's run, and then do it before the game, and it's so much fun.
Sarah, you can really see the fun in this team, can't you? And I think the enjoyment factor has gone so far for them this year in terms of them just being fearless.
And what I love about this is that it's driven by Poppy, who's a first-year player, Meg Robertson, who hasn't even been in emergency for the past 6 weeks, so not in the frame for selection at all. But, you know, the two of them together have really worked to bring this fun and this energy, and it's coming from the kids. I think this is something that, you know, is not just important for this year, but it's important for the next 5 years for Carlton. They're just such a fun team. You know, speaking of fun, Soph McKay has been front and centre the last couple of weeks. She's not shy in coming forward. Herself and Belle Dawes, probably the equivalent up at Brisbane, had a few words to say through the media.
Craig Starcevich, he's watching on here tonight. You got a message for him ahead of that preliminary final next week?
We're coming for you.
Well, I actually brought something for that because I saw that and it says they're coming for us, and this is how I feel about that. They're coming for us. Come on, come to Brighton Homes Arena, we're pumped for it. So thought I'd bring that in.
Oh, I love it. It's so good for the competition as well, isn't it? Come to Brighton Homes Arena, look at us face off. Meg, in terms of the matchup this weekend and Carlton heading up to Brisbane, they beat them in round 3, so you give them a chance?
Absolutely give them a chance. I was lucky enough to call that game, and it was really the one that put Carlton sort of drew the line in the stand, or put their, you know, marked their flag, whatever the expression is. Sarah, you'll help me out on that one. But it was, it was the time where the competition took note of what the Blues were doing. I don't know that Brisbane had hit their best footy yet, and I think they do enjoy the sort of underdog narrative that they've somehow, despite all their success, been able to sort of perpetuate. But it was a really exciting game, and I mean, the theatre of those two players drumming up the competition is really exciting. I'll see how the Blues go. They seem to have caught that sort of sometimes ephemeral excitement of a finals campaign, but I know the graphics have been going up around what Brisbane's finishing position throughout the course of the last 5 to 10 seasons now, and it's hard to go past them.
So you saw the result on the screen there before. It was a victory to Carlton by 14 points, and this was the Lions coach Craig Starcevich after that match.
Yeah, the looks in people's eyes were that they were up for the fight and ready to go. Just we left ourselves a little bit too much to do, and I think that first goal probably deflates you a little bit. But yeah, they didn't give up. They kept cracking, which is great. But credit to Carlton, they played really well. They looked quick and sharp and skillful, and you know, we paid the price.
They are a team that don't give up, Carlton, but we want to hone in on Dakota Davidson, big game player. Went into beast mode the last game that she played. Now, Meg, you have played on Dakota. When she's running at full pelt, when she's got that full head of steam that she does have, what do you do? How do you tackle her? Yeah,
it's difficult, and she's certainly the epitome of a barometer for her team. If she gets 1 or 2 early, she certainly fires up the entire forward line and the entire football club. She's incredibly hard to play against because she has that combination of size and strength and agility. She's very hard to manoeuvre, but at the same time, I feel like, you know, I'm sure we'll get to this later, but Carlton have probably the All-Australian fullback in Harriet Cordner, and her partnership with Hendry is really fantastic. So I think Dax only kicked 1 goal in that round 3 game. They've done a lot to sort of go to work on her, and their combination of lockdown and intercept defence is really impressive from Carlton. So I think they've got a fair chance against Dax.
So Meg, you're going to head off and be on the deep dive today with Gemma Bestiani, but before you do, quick tip for the game.
Look, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid when it comes to the Blues, but I can't go past Brisbane's sort of determination and their history in finals. So Brisbane for mine, but a sign of things to come from the Blues.
And Sarah, your tip and your thoughts on the matchup?
Yeah, Meg sort of took the words right out of my mouth in terms of the determination that Brisbane show. I find it really hard to tip against them in finals time. They're really ferocious around the contest. They can provide lots of heat. And I don't think they'll let Carlton get off to that blistering start that we saw against Hawthorn that set up that win. You know, if the Blues can get a run on, they'll be fantastic, but I don't think Brisbane will let them. I'm going with the Lions.
Yep, I think it's the Lions for me too, although I'd love to see Carlton do it, but I think it'll be Brisbane. All right, we're going to head into the next match for this weekend, North Melbourne and Melbourne, and we're going to kick it off with the deep dive with Gemma and Meg.
Now, the matchup that we are all most excited for this weekend isn't necessarily North Melbourne v Melbourne, but Meg, it's Kate Hore v Jasmine Garner, captain v captain. They're very similar players, aren't they?
They're absolutely really similar players and probably the most two well-respected and popular players in the competition because of how they go about it and the way that they raise the bar for the rest of the competition and every player coming up. I don't know any player that wouldn't love to model their game on one of these two players. They're incredible players and they'll be fundamental to success this weekend.
They're both tall, dynamic midfielders who can get forward, hit the scoreboard, but also take a contested mark. Kate Hore is a bit more of an eye-catching player though, isn't she?
Yeah, Kate's unbelievable. I mean, look the way she's breaking through tackles at the moment, the way she's bringing her midfield craft to her football these days is what's so impressive. But she's always been a threat ahead of the ball. You've got to put your key match up on her when she goes there. My favourite thing about Kate is that she knows what the game needs when it needs it. So we saw on the weekend, she went behind the ball, I think it was in the second quarter, took 3 intercept marks, no worries at all, and really, you know, instructed the way her team moved the footy. So whatever the D's need, she can bring it for them.
And what you said to me before we jumped on air was Jasmine Garner's just a bit slippery. She's slippery, she's hard to bring down. What is it about her that makes her slippery?
Yes, I've never needed to play on her in that midfield context to know, but I think she's got such a fluidity with how she moves at the moment. And I think there's an element of, you know, the little things that she does, the little extractions, the little clearances, the little gives that sometimes go unnoticed. But at the end of the game, she's had 35 disposals, kicked 3 goals and really destroyed you. So both of them have that in them. There's a lightness of touch about the way Jazz handles the footy and moves the ball. So, yeah, both players very, very impressive.
I want to call them the prototype mids of the AFLW. We've got other players like Ella Roberts, Havana Harris, Montana Ham coming through that will aspire to be that one day as those taller mids. But at the moment, these two are the absolute bosses. Meg, I'm going to put you on the spot. Out of these two, who's going to win out in the contest this week?
I think Kate Hore will be the standout player on the weekend. What I would love to see is one of them get off the chain and the other one go to try and negate them. I don't know which way that'll go. I think the load that's shared amongst North Melbourne, though, with Ash Riddell, obviously, will help North get over the line.
So Kate Hore's going to have the bigger game, but North Melbourne's going to win.
That's the one.
That's a pretty good way to do it. Now, team, what do we all think? Who's going to win out of these two, but also out of the two teams?
Oh, it's hard to argue with you both there. I would agree. I think Kate Hore has shown that she is extreme when it comes to these big games. There is nothing holding her back. I think North Melbourne's going to win. I think it's hard to see any team beating them this season. What do you reckon, Sarah?
Yeah, I'm going to go with North for an overall tip. I just think that they're not going to let Kate Hore get off the chain as much as some other sides. They're going to stop that supply heading forward. So my money's on Jazz Garner for the better game overall.
Now, we speak about these two teams often and we speak about the superstars that we see in these teams, but Sarah, you've had a look through both of their lists and looked at some of the players we don't hear as much about but you think will be really impactful this weekend.
It's the difference between these sides and the rest of the competition is just the depth within the squad. So it's not all about the absolute guns. Of course, they're fantastic match winners, but it's the role players who really lift the standard. So, you know, some of the names I've pulled out, Tess Craven and Erica O'Shea for North Melbourne provide so much run on the outside and so much drive off half back. It's no longer just Emma Carney. It's these young guns coming through who can provide so much stability on the outside and really disciplined in holding their line and their shape, which helps the overall team. When you look at Melbourne, I've loved the speed of Shelley Heath on the ball this year. It's a point of difference for the Ds. She's such a burst player from contest. Meg mentioned that Garner's slippery. I'd say Shelley Heath is slippery too. She's very hard to catch. And don't forget about Riley Wotherspoon, who played a career best game. Stats don't show it, but she was phenomenal in Melbourne's win over Adelaide earlier this week. Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Seems like a while ago.
It's been a long time. Yeah, on Saturday.
Well, we know that Mick Stanier was quite emotional after Melbourne's win last weekend, and this was him post-match talking about taking on the Roos.
If we're going to be successful in a prelim, that we needed that half of footy, not just to win the game, but to actually play as a team and function as a team. A lot harder to score against, which is important against North. Less turnovers, which is important against North, who make you pay. And then, yeah, just that ability to work together, which is going to be critical next week.
So it's all about how North Melbourne managed to control these games, and we've given it a nickname. We've called it cruise control as opposed to Roos control. You've seen it, Meg. You've seen it on the field. How do you break down their ability to just take control of a match?
Well, I don't know that anyone ultimately has the answer to how you do it. I know my team for a long time, well, we are still the last people to take premiership points off them. So I think that's a little, I know, we've got to stop claiming it because it was, a long time ago now. They've been so impressive, but that's the thing. Once they get the ball, they keep it off you. Their disposal efficiency, not deficiency, anything, but their disposal efficiency is what sets them apart. But I think that's off the basis of a really clear system. They know where to turn, they know where to spread, and they back themselves in fundamentally at every stage. But I know, Sarah, you were speaking about the fact that, Melbourne are pretty good at getting the ball themselves.
Yeah, so it's not just, we'll stick with North for just a sec, but it's not just the fact that North are winning so much of the ball. They're averaging the greatest disposal differential in AFLW history. They're also running at a record disposal efficiency as well. So they're not just winning a heap of the footy, they're absolutely nailing their disposal. And it's been a real trend for them when it comes to draft time and recruiting time, is they look for best kicks first. That's been a really definite trend, and it's paying off in spades. The other side of the coin is that Melbourne are the best contested possession side we've ever seen in the AFLW, which you wouldn't think on paper that that's the case. But they're really strong at winning the footy, and they're excellent at forcing teams into turnovers. They're the best team we've ever seen numbers-wise in forcing turnovers. So you've got this beautiful user of the footy side in North Melbourne, and you've got this really gun defensive in and under side in Melbourne. So I'm curious to see which one wins out.
Well, we'll see some players from both those teams, I think, feature in the W Awards, which are next Monday night. And the AFL's TikTok channel will be live from the Coral Carpet with some big guests, so make sure you don't miss that. But I want to look ahead to the W Awards and to the All-Australian team, which will be announced. And we've seen the squad come out. We know there are going to be some North names that will inevitably make the team. But my question to both of you is, who are your players that should be a lock for this team, aside from the obvious ones?
I'm quite happy to not be on the panel after 6 seasons. I'm quite happy to now just sit on the couch and be able to just sort of throw some darts at the board. So I looked at the back line because that's often the hardest one to pick. I think Harriet Cordner should be an absolute lock.
Yep.
She's been phenomenal, the best intercepting season we have seen from an AFLW player. And Serene Watson's been beautiful off half-back. The Saints structure and the inclusion of Paige Trudgeon has allowed Watson to really shine in that role. And I've also loved the work of Maeve Chaplin. She's been phenomenal, really gutsy and a real leader back there and sort of in that quarterback role. Meg, who are yours that you would like to see?
We doubled up on Chaplin.
We did.
I think she's so impressive, not because she is the size and has the disposal of a halfback who really sets up play, but equally I've seen her take responsibility for the Bonnie Two-Goods of the competition as well. So I think she can do both. I'd love to see her play in the prelim. I hope she can get back because that'll be fundamental for Melbourne as well. I've gone with Indy Tahoe. I mean, leading goal kicker, so probably not. I mean, she's probably a lock, I'd like to think, but I watched her in the last game of the season and thought, I'll never get to play on you. You're so impressive. And, she won leading goal kicker off the back of starting the season in defence. So I think that's impressive. But I'm going to go with Dana Finn. I almost went with both of the Carlton Irish girls because I think their additions to the team and their ability to run the wing / that half-forward role while hitting the scoreboard has really been such a key to Carlton's jump up the ladder.
I thought you might say Georgie Prasparkas.
I know, I was trying not to play favourites, but Prezi, you're my girl.
Yeah. Now, listen, the BNF, obviously, the big award of the night. Tip, if it's something that you can tip that isn't going to be an obvious one that we've all been talking about, and a Smoky. Let's throw a Smoky in the mix too.
I'm going with Ash Riddell, but that's, dependent on the umpires, going for Riddell over Garner, so we'll have to wait and see. And Matilda Scholes is my Smoky. She's just an absolute gun and been one of Port's best performers every week.
I'd wondered if the umpires would overcorrect and we'd finally have the year that Garner wins, despite Ash Riddell being the standout player. But I'm going with Kate Hore. I've sort of already waxed lyrical today on how impressive she is, but I think she has such eye-catching performances that'll attract 3 votes. And I guess the Kate Hore in waiting for my Smoky, Ella Roberts, slightly different players, but unbelievably influential in her team's success. And same thing, she's impressive in the middle, but has incredible aerial ability and hits the scoreboard as well. So Smokey, I don't know that they've won enough games for her to win, but had they won a few more, she'd be right amongst the favourites, I'd say.
I'd love it to be Kate Hore. I think it'll be one of the North players, but I'd love it to be Kate Hore, and I agree. Matilda Scholes would be my Smokey, back-to-back BNFs. And also coming off a rising star, what an incredible start to the career she's had. Now, we just want to remind you of those 2 games that are coming up this weekend. Once again, on Saturday afternoon, North Melbourne and Melbourne at Icon Park, followed by the night game up in Queensland, Brisbane Lions and Carlton. Make sure you get your tickets. The link is on the screen there. Go along, support these 4 clubs, and then it'll be down to 2 next week. Thank you both for being here. Can't wait for the weekend of footy.
Before we sign off, I just want to say, if you are a Carlton fan in Victoria, in Melbourne, and you can't get to Brisbane, Carlton are going to have a watch party at the Terminus Hotel in North Fitzroy, not Abbotsford, North Fitzroy. So get down there amongst your fellow Blues supporters and watch your girls hopefully take a step into the grand final.
Oh, it's going to be wild there. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you, Meg. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. We can't wait for the week of prelims, and we'll see you next week.